Hey guys, it's Vicky and Noah. So we were told to do a video project that involves showing our faces, but instead we came up with a genius idea without showing our faces, and that is
Draw my ecosystem! The ecosystem that we are going to be talking about is the Arctic, so let's do this.
To start off, the Arctic ecosystem is a polar region located at the northmost part of the Earth. Now, what exactly makes this particular ice block so unique? Compared to other biomes, the Arctic is relatively young, and it consists of only 10% of the world's plant and animal species. The few species that live in the Arctic are extraordinarily well adapted to life under marginal conditions. The growing season for plants is very short. There's often no more than a few weeks to grow and set seeds. The low energy is wasted on unnecessary growth, so stems are short and tough. Scientists have found that algae can grow profusely under the sea ice, thereby establishing an upside-down sea bottom system that nourishes plankton, that in return is food for fish, seabirds, and whales. When the ice recedes in the spring, the exposed nutritious seawater is exposed to 24 hours of sunlight that lead to sudden, intense marine production. This combined with upwelling of nutrients from the seafloor are the main reasons why northern seas are such important commercial fishing grounds. Biodiversity is being lost in the Arctic as we speak. The largest threat is climate change. Changing combinations of high temperature, wind, and precipitation are likely to give rise to very different climates in the Arctic. Arctic ice is decreasing, and specifically in the year 2007, there has been less summer sea ice than any previous year in the satellite era, and 2012 set another record. The ocean is expected to become ice-free in the summer within a few decades. The increase in carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere is also leading to acidification of ocean water worldwide, especially in the Arctic because it can dissolve more carbon dioxide. Warming is also causing a loss of permafrost and glaciers, affecting hydrology, vegetation, erosion patterns, and other features of terrestrial ecosystems. On the land, shrubs are growing taller and spreading. Thus, they're growing and moving towards the north. While the Arctic species are expected to move into the high Arctic, some Arctic species and ecosystems are expected to disappear or remain only as isolated fragments into the high mountain areas. There are also other pressures acting on the Arctic. For example, issues relating to the exploitation of species, especially stock for fish, birds, and mammals into forests. Second, the means by which land and water are managed, including the use of terrestrial ecosystems for grazing, domesticated stock, and aquatic ecosystems for agriculture. And third, issues relating to pollutants and their long-range transport to the Arctic. And fourthly, the development issues relating to industrial development and the opening up of the Arctic for recreational purposes. In addition to loss of biodiversity in the Arctic is facing social and political problems, one in which the Obama administration is pushing forward plans to open this frontier area to drilling. More drilling will only exacerbate the challenges brought on by climate change in this region. In addition to the other social and political problems in the Arctic are overfishing, invasive species, and pollution.
The role of the Bering Sea glacier is a producer that provides food for animals in the Arctic. However, it is being threatened by the climate change, industrial pollution, as well as not being able to reproduce fast enough. And as a result, animals will not receive the sufficient nutrients they need until it becomes extinct.
Starvation, no! Oh, Noah, look, what is that?
It's the beluga whale, and they're seen as near threatened on the WWF website.
Aww.
These animals are well adapted to their specific habitat. They migrate to specific feeding, molting, and nursery areas every year. Their future depends on the continued use of these important natural areas unaffected by adverse impacts of human activity. Moving on, the beluga whales are close to the top of the marine food chain and are powerful indicators of the overall health of the marine environment. Beluga whales are also culturally important to many Inuit communities. These Inuit organizations are working together to ensure that beluga hunting is carried out in a sustainable and healthy way and that it will not alter the marine ecosystem.
beluga whales are to go extinct, killer whales and polar bear population will decrease. The prey's population will increase on the other hand, but not a huge increase because they would only have one predator to run from. As one of the largest land carnivores in the world along with grizzly bears, polar bears are known as keystone species, the apex of the ecosystem. They keep biological populations in balance, a critical component to a functioning ecosystem. They're also a sign of health for the ecosystem. If the keystone species is unhealthy, that's a sign that the entire ecosystem is in trouble. Now, what factors make the species more at risk for extinction versus other animals? With the increase in global warming, the climate change is threatening polar bears and their habitat. Polar bears need a solid ice platform to forage to be able to hunt their main prey, seals. They've been experiencing less and less of it each year and are typically left with thinner ice more prone to melt. The entire ecosystem of polar bears now face the risk of loss of habitat, disastrous oil spills, as well as hunting. What if polar bears are to go extinct? Scavengers like the Arctic fox and snowy owl depend on big kills from the polar bears as a source of food. If polar bears are to go extinct and cannot kill seals, they're cutting out another food source for wildlife. Now, if the population of seals increases without polar bears to control their population numbers, this could threaten the population of crustaceans and fish, an important food source for local human population as well as other Arctic wildlife. Why should we care, and what are future plans for preserving species and their habitat? For many of us, the Arctic may seem very remote in terms of geography and relevance. However, the region plays a key role in regulating the world's climate. If climate change continues at predicted rates, it will have profound consequences for us all. The Arctic Ocean, a mixture of fresh, melt water, and seawater, influences ocean currents around the globe. Some scientists believe that too much fresh melt water could actually switch off some of these sea currents, which play a crucial role in climate further south. The Arctic region is also home to millions of people from many unique indigenous populations. These people and their cultures are also at risk. In other parts of the world, the environmental changes is to restore damaged ecosystems. In the Arctic, we still have chances to protect what there is, for the most part, a unique environment. At Ocean Conservancy, they're helping citizens and decision makers alike understand what's at stake. They're advocating for science-based solutions to ensure that the Arctic waters remain healthy and clean. In addition, Mark Begich has introduced new important legislation that will establish a permanent program to conduct research, monitoring, and observing activities in the Arctic. Senator Begich's bill takes several steps to address these problems. First, it calls on the U.S. Arctic Research Commission to establish a national Arctic research program plan to help coordinate scientific research activities in the region. Second, it funds a merit-based grant program that will support new scientific research and fieldwork in the Arctic. Third, the bill provides funding to establish and support long-term ocean observing systems and monitoring programs in the Arctic Ocean, Bering Ocean, and the North Pacific.